The massive Federation science vessel hung silently above Earth's surface, its smooth silver hull reflecting the pale Antarctic sunlight. Captain Reed stood at the bridge window, his four-fingered hand pressed against the transparent material as he studied the white landscape below. After 300 years of serving in the Federation's science division, he had thought nothing could surprise him anymore. He was wrong. "Captain," called out First Officer Miller, her scaled skin shifting colors with excitement. "The ground team has confirmed the facility's entrance. It's exactly where the ancient maps indicated." Reed turned from the window, his antenna twitching with interest. "Show me." The main screen flickered to life, displaying a massive metal door buried beneath centuries of ice. The Federation's excavation units had worked for 3 days to reach it, their heat beams carefully melting away the frozen layers of time. "Remarkable," Reed muttered. "After all these years, the metal hasn't corroded at all." The ground team's leader, Dr. Green, appeared on the screen. "Captain, we've found something incredible. The facility's power systems are still operational. Barely, but they're working. Whatever the humans built here, they meant it to last." Reed felt his heart skip a beat. Humanity was a mystery that had puzzled the Federation for centuries. Their ruins dotted the galaxy, telling stories of a species that had reached incredible technological heights before vanishing. But Earth, their homeworld, had yielded few secrets until now. "Can you open it?" Reed asked. "That's the thing, sir," Dr. Green replied, his environmental suit covered in ice crystals. "The door's security system is still active. It's asking for authentication." Reed turned to his science officer. "How is that possible? The facility must be at least 800,000 years old." Before anyone could answer, a soft hum filled the air. The giant door was moving. "Dr. Green, report. Did you bypass the security?" "Negative, Captain. The door, it's opening itself." The bridge crew watched in stunned silence as the ancient entrance slowly swung open, revealing the dark corridor beyond. The ground team's lights illuminated smooth metal walls covered in strange symbols. Human writing. "Temperature reading inside is stable at 20 degrees Celsius, Dr. Green reported. "Air composition. This is impossible. The air inside is perfectly breathable. The facility's life support systems are still working." Reed made a quick decision. "I'm coming down. Prepare a full exploration team." An hour later, Reed stood inside the facility, his environmental suit sensors confirming what seemed impossible. The ancient human structure was still functioning. The exploration team moved carefully through the corridors, their lights revealing more writing, diagrams, and occasionally, strange symbols that seemed to be warnings. Then they found the main chamber. "By the first ones," Reed whispered. The chamber stretched for what seemed like kilometers, filled with rows upon rows of metallic pods, each connected to a central power core that hummed quietly in the background. The pods were arranged in perfect lines, each bearing a small display panel that glowed with a faint blue light. Dr. Green approached one of the pods, wiping away centuries of dust from its display. "Captain, these are stasis chambers, and they're still active." Reed moved closer, his heart's pounding. Through the pod's frosted window, he could make out a humanoid shape inside. Life signs. Dr. Green ran his scanner over the pod, then ran it again, his hands shaking. "Stable. Captain, they're alive. They're all alive." Reed looked around the vast chamber, doing a quick count. There had to be thousands of pods, thousands of living humans preserved in perfect stasis for nearly 1,000,000 years. "Alert the Federation Council immediately," Reed ordered, his voice barely a whisper. Tell them we found them. We found the missing humans. And they're not extinct. They're just sleeping." As the message was sent, Reed stood in that ancient chamber, surrounded by the sleeping remnants of humanity, knowing that the galaxy was about to change forever. The Federation had just stumbled upon the greatest discovery in its history, and nothing would ever be the same. 3 days after the discovery, the Federation's best medical experts gathered around the first Cryo pod chosen for awakening. The pod's display showed the occupant's name, Dr. James Walker, Chief Scientist. "All systems are ready," announced Dr. Green, now wearing a clean white medical uniform. "The pod's own revival sequence is still functional. It's amazing. The humans thought of everything." Captain Reed watched from behind a safety barrier, his antenna twitching nervously. 5 Federation Council members had arrived to witness this historic moment, their varied alien forms creating an odd contrast against the ancient human facility. The pod began to hum. Frost melted away from its surface as internal temperatures slowly rose. Everyone held their breath as the pod's lid lifted with a soft hiss of escaping air. Inside lay a human male, appearing to be in his mid-40s by old Earth records. His chest began to rise and fall more deeply as the revival drugs entered his system. His eyelids flickered. Then, Dr. James Walker opened his eyes for the first time in 870,000 years. He blinked slowly, his brain processing the strange sight of alien faces peering down at him. Instead of panicking, he simply raised an eyebrow and said in a hoarse voice, "Well, this is certainly interesting." The universal translators took a moment to process the ancient form of English, then converted it for everyone present. The council members murmured in surprise at the human's calm reaction. Dr. Green helped Walker sit up, supporting him as his muscles readjusted to movement. "Dr. Walker, I'm Dr. Green of the Galactic Federation. You've been in stasis for quite some time." Walker nodded, accepting a cup of water from a medical assistant. "How long?" he asked after taking a careful sip. Reed stepped forward. "Approximately 870,000 years, Dr. Walker." Walker choked slightly on his water. "That's longer than we planned for. The facility was only supposed to maintain itself for 100,000 years." He looked around at the still functioning systems. "I suppose our engineering was better than we thought." Over the next few hours, as Walker's strength returned, more pods were carefully awakened. A military officer named Stone, a medical expert named Dr. Miller, and several others joined the growing group of revived humans. The Federation scientists were amazed by how quickly the humans adapted to their situation. Instead of breaking down at the news of their long sleep or humanity's apparent extinction, they immediately began asking questions about current technology, politics, and the state of the galaxy. "You have to understand," Walker explained to Captain Reed as they watched more pods being prepared for revival. "We were chosen and trained for this possibility. Project Legacy was humanity's insurance policy." "Insurance policy?" Reed asked, puzzled by the term. Walker's face grew serious. "We knew something was coming. Something big. We couldn't stop it, so we prepared instead. 1,000 of our best, scientists, soldiers, doctors, engineers, preserved until humanity would be needed again." Reed's translator took a moment to process this. "You knew your species would vanish." "Not vanish," Walker corrected. "Wait. We chose to wait." And now, he looked around at the other awakening humans, who were already examining Federation technology with great interest. "It seems the wait is over." A commotion near the medical area drew their attention. One of the newly awakened humans had just repaired a malfunctioning Federation medical scanner, improving its efficiency by 40%. The Federation medical staff stared in amazement as the human explained the simple modifications he'd made. Walker smiled at Reed's shocked expression. "Captain, your Federation has been very kind to us, so I feel I should warn you. Your galaxy isn't ready for humanity. But don't worry, we'll help you prepare." Reed watched as more pods were prepared for revival, realizing that the galaxy was about to learn why ancient records had spoken of humans with such respect and fear. The sleeping giants were awakening, and nothing in his training had prepared him for what would come next. 1 week after the first awakening, the Federation's main space station buzzed with activity. The station's massive central chamber had been converted into a temporary home for the revived humans, who now numbered 300. What shocked the Federation observers wasn't the humans' reaction to their new surroundings. It was how quickly they were improving them. "They've reorganized our entire power grid," muttered Station Commander Pike, his crystalline form glittering under the improved lighting system. 3 days. It took them 3 days to understand and upgrade a power system that took us 50 years to build. Captain Reed stood beside him, watching Dr. Walker lead a group of humans in what they called physical training. The sight of humans running, jumping, and lifting weights had drawn a crowd of fascinated aliens. "They're not just surviving, they're thriving," Reed observed. "The Federation Council is getting nervous." A loud clang echoed through the chamber as Admiral Stone, one of the awakened military leaders, easily lifted a weight that 2 of the station's strongest maintenance robots struggled with. The watching aliens whispered among themselves. "Their strength is remarkable," Pike said, "but it's their minds that truly frighten the Council." As if to prove his point, a young human engineer walked past, explaining to a group of Federation scientists how to improve their ships faster than light drives. The scientists, each holding multiple degrees in quantum physics, were taking notes like students. Dr. Walker finished his exercises and approached Reed and Pike, barely sweating despite the intense workout. "Gentlemen, I hope we're not causing too much disruption." Pike's crystalline form flickered, his species equivalent of nervous laughter. "Disruption. You've improved our station's efficiency by 60% in a week." "About that," Walker said, his face growing serious. "We need to talk about humanity's place in the Federation." Reed's antenna twitched. "The Council is still debating your status. Some members are concerned about your rapid progress." Walker smiled, but there was a hint of steel in his eyes. "They should be more concerned about what's coming." "Admiral Stone, would you join us?" The Admiral walked over, towering over the alien officials. "Our long-range sensors just picked up something interesting." "Something your sensors missed." "Impossible," Pike said. "Our sensor network is the most advanced in known space." "It was," Walker corrected gently, "until we improved it this morning." "Admiral." Stone pulled up a holographic display, showing a section of space at the galaxy's edge. "There's something out there, gathering. Something big, and it's heading this way." Reed studied the display, his antenna going stiff with shock. How did we miss this?" "Because you weren't looking for it," Walker explained. "But we were. It's why we went into stasis in the first place. We knew they'd return eventually." "They?" Pike asked, his crystalline form dimming with concern. "We called them the Swarm," Stone said grimly. "They drove us into hiding 870,000 years ago. Not because they defeated us, because we weren't ready to face them. So we waited, preserved our best minds, our strongest warriors, our most advanced knowledge." Walker nodded. "We improved ourselves, prepared ourselves, then went to sleep until we were needed. And now we are." Reed looked between the 2 humans, finally understanding. "You didn't just survive by accident. This facility, your preservation, it was all planned." "Humanity doesn't believe in leaving things to chance," Walker said. "We've spent the last week studying your Federation. You're good people, but you're not ready for what's coming. We are." Stone's face hardened. "The question is, will your Federation accept our help, or will pride and fear make them reject humanity once again?" Reed and Pike shared a look, realizing that the awakening of humanity was just the beginning. The real test, for both humanity and the Federation, was about to begin. In the background, more humans continued their exercises, their laughter echoing through the station as they casually defied what the Federation had thought possible. They weren't just survivors from the past. They were humanity's best, preserved like a weapon, waiting for the moment they would be needed most. That moment had finally arrived. The Federation's main research laboratory had never been so busy. 2 weeks after the humans' awakening, their true capabilities were beginning to show, and it was making the Federation's top scientists both excited and nervous. Dr. Miller, The Federation's chief biologist stared at her screen in disbelief. "This can't be right," she muttered, her tentacles curling in agitation. "Run the scan again." The human test subject, a young scientist named Thomas, sat patiently as the scanner passed over him for the third time. "Something wrong?" he asked with a knowing smile. "Your DNA," Dr. Miller said, all four of her eyes wide. It's perfect. Too perfect." Dr. Walker entered the lab, followed by Captain Reed. "Not perfect," Walker corrected. "Engineered. We improved ourselves before going into stasis." Miller's tentacles twisted in shock. "But these changes, the enhanced muscle density, improved neural pathways, strengthened immune system, this level of genetic engineering should have killed you." "It did kill many of us," Walker admitted quietly. "We lost thousands perfecting the process. But those of us who survived, those you see here, we became something more. We had to. The swarm was coming." In another part of the station, Admiral Stone was running combat drills with a mixed group of humans and Federation security forces. The Federation's best warriors watched in awe as the humans moved with impossible speed and precision. "Your body should break under that kind of stress," the Federation's combat instructor said, watching the human easily lift twice their body weight while running. Stone helped a fallen Federation trainee up. "We rebuilt ourselves to be stronger. But strength isn't our greatest advantage." As if to prove his point, a group of humans in the science lab had just solved a mathematical problem that had stumped Federation scientists for decades. They did it over lunch. "Your minds," Reed said, watching the celebration in the lab. "They're not just enhanced for strength and speed." Walker nodded. "Enhanced pattern recognition, improved memory, faster neural connections. We knew we couldn't match the swarm in numbers, so we made each human count for more." In the medical bay, human doctors were teaching Federation medics new surgical techniques. Their hands moved with surgical precision that the best medical robots couldn't match. "But how did you preserve all this?" Miller asked. "The stasis process should have caused deterioration over such a long time." Walker walked to a window, looking out at the stars. "We didn't just build the stasis facility. We built a continuous improvement system. While we slept, nanomachines in our pods kept updating our bodies based on automated research the facility conducted. We didn't just preserve ourselves. We evolved." The station shook slightly as a human engineer tested a new drive system they designed. It was 3 times more powerful than anything the Federation had built. "You're not just refugees from the past," Reed realized. "You're not even just survivors. We're humanity's answer to extinction," Walker finished. "When we faced the swarm the first time, we weren't ready, so we took the long way around. Almost 1,000,000 years of controlled evolution, compressed into one long night of sleep." In the training room, Stone had begun teaching Federation soldiers about human battle tactics. The aliens were stunned by the complexity and adaptability of human warfare. "The Federation thinks we're remarkable because we survived," Walker said, watching the training. "But survival was just the beginning. Everything we are, everything we've become, it was all for one purpose." Reed felt his antenna twitch. "The swarm." Walker's face hardened. "They're coming, Captain. Faster than we expected. And now you know why we had to become what we are. The question is, will the Federation accept what we've become? Or will they fear us more than the enemy at their door?" Around them, humans continued their work, each one a testament to their species' determination to survive and evolve. They moved with purpose, knowing their time had finally come. The sleeping giants hadn't just awakened, they had emerged transformed, ready for the battle they had spent almost 1,000,000 years preparing for. The warning sirens shattered the peaceful evening cycle of the Federation space station. Red emergency lights pulsed through every corridor as crew members rushed to their stations. In the command center, chaos erupted as reports flooded in from the outer colonies. 3 outposts gone dark in the last hour, reported a communications officer, her bioluminescent skin flashing with distress. No distress signals, no warnings. They're just gone. Captain Reed stood at the main view screen, his antenna rigid with tension. Behind him, Dr. Walker and Admiral Stone exchanged knowing looks. "Show us the attack pattern," Stone commanded, his voice cutting through the panic like a blade. The display lit up with a map of Federation space. The dark zones where communications had been lost formed a distinct pattern, one the humans recognized immediately. "Just like before," Walker said quietly. "They're not just attacking. They're harvesting." A new alert blared through the command center. The main screen switched to a live feed from the colony world of New Haven. The image made even the battle-hardened Federation officers step back in horror. Massive dark shapes descended from the clouds, each one larger than a city. They moved with impossible grace for their size, their surfaces seeming to shift and flow like liquid metal. Where they touched down, everything, buildings, vehicles, people, simply disappeared, absorbed into their mass. "The swarm," Stone growled. "Right on schedule." Federation defense ships engaged the massive creatures, their most powerful weapons barely scratching the surface. The ships themselves vanished moments later, consumed like everything else. "Our weapons aren't working," the Federation's admiral first announced, his crystalline form dulled with fear. "Nothing in our arsenal can penetrate their outer layer." Walker stepped forward. "Because you're fighting them wrong. The swarm isn't a conventional enemy. They're a collective intelligence. Each of those things you see isn't a ship or a creature. It's a colony." "How do you know this?" Reed demanded. "Because we fought them before," Stone answered, "and we found their weakness. But our solution requires something the Federation has banned for the last 50,000 years. The room fell silent. Admiral First's crystal structure pulsed with realization. The forbidden technologies. The ones that nearly destroyed the galaxy in the Great War. Walker nodded grimly. "What you call forbidden technology, we call Tuesday. The swarm can't be destroyed by conventional weapons because they exist in multiple phase states simultaneously. You need weapons that can do the same." Another alert sounded. 3 more colonies had gone dark. "We have the knowledge," Stone said. "We have the capability. The only question is, will you let us use it?" Admiral First wavered. "The Council. We'll be dead in 3 days if you don't let us help." Walker cut in. "Look at their pattern of attack. They're not random strikes. They're systematically cutting off escape routes. In 72 hours, they'll have boxed in the core worlds. After that." The implications hung heavy in the air. Reed looked at the display, watching another colony vanish into darkness. "How quickly can you begin?" he asked. "We already have," Walker replied. "The moment we woke up, we began preparing. We just need authorization to access your manufacturing facilities." Admiral First's crystalline form flickered with internal conflict. Everything he had been taught told him not to trust these ancient humans with such dangerous technology. But as another colony disappeared from the map, he made his decision. "Do it," he commanded. "Whatever you need, it's yours." Walker and Stone immediately began issuing orders to their fellow humans who had been standing ready. Within minutes, the station's manufacturing levels were transforming as humans began building devices that had been banned for millennia. "Captain," Walker said to Reed as they worked, "you might want to warn your people. What they're about to see will change their understanding of what's possible." In the viewport behind them, another swarm ship emerged from hyperspace, its massive form blotting out the stars. The real war was about to begin, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy why they had once been both respected and feared. In just 24 hours, the Federation's main manufacturing station had transformed beyond recognition. Humans worked tirelessly, their enhanced bodies needing little rest, as they built weapons that hadn't been seen in the galaxy for nearly 1,000,000 years. Captain Reed watched in amazement as Dr. Walker activated the first of their new creations. The device was surprisingly small, barely larger than a human hand, but it filled the air with a strange rippling effect that made Reed's antenna tingle uncomfortably. Phase disruptors, Walker explained, carefully adjusting the device. The swarm exists in multiple states at once. These force them to choose a single state. And then, Reed asked, though he suspected he knew the answer. Then they die, Admiral Stone said flatly, entering the room with a group of human soldiers. Each carried weapons that seemed to shift and change as Reed looked at them. Once they're locked in a single phase, conventional weapons can hurt them. The station shook as another swarm ship passed nearby. They had been lucky so far. The massive entities seemed more interested in harvesting populated worlds than military installations. But that luck wouldn't last. All teams report ready, announced a human technician. Phase network is operational. Walker nodded grimly. Time for a test run. Admiral. Stone stepped to a communication panel. All human combat teams, move to your ships. Execute Operation Awakening. The Federation observers watched in awe as human crews boarded their ships with practiced efficiency. In the past day, they had modified the Federation's fastest vessels with their new technology, transforming them into weapons that could actually fight the swarm. You're not just going to test the weapons, Reed realized. You're launching a counterattack. The longer we wait, the stronger they get, Stone explained. Every world they consume adds to their mass, their intelligence, their power. We have to strike now. The modified ships launched from the station, their engines glowing with an impossible purple fire that the Federation's scientists couldn't explain. At their head flew Stone's command ship, now bristling with technology that shouldn't exist. Captain, Walker said to Reed, you might want to record this. Your people should see what happens when humanity goes to war. The fleet approached the nearest swarm ship, which was easily 1,000 times larger than their largest vessel. The massive entity seemed to notice them, its liquid metal surface rippling with interest. Now, Stone commanded over the comm system. Every human ship activated their phase disruptors at once. The space around the swarm ship distorted, and for the first time, the creature seemed to struggle. Its flowing surface began to solidify, forced to exist in a single state of reality. Second phase, Stone ordered. The human ships opened fire with their main weapons, where Federation weapons had bounced harmlessly off the swarm ship's surface. These new weapons tore through its now solid form. The creature emitted a sound that shook the station's walls, the first time anyone had ever heard a swarm ship make noise. They're calling for help, Walker said, watching the battle. Just like they did last time. More swarm ships appeared, abandoning their harvesting to aid their wounded companion. But the humans were ready. More ships launched from the station, carrying more phase disruptors, more impossible weapons. Your people rebuilt all this in a day? Reed asked in amazement. Walker smiled grimly. Captain, we spent almost 1,000,000 years planning this exact moment. Everything we are, everything we made ourselves into, it was all for this fight. On the view screen, the first swarm ship began to break apart, its once invincible form crumbling under the human attack. The Federation crew cheered, but the humans remained focused, professional. They knew this was just the beginning. Now, Walker said quietly, the galaxy will remember why humanity was both loved and feared. We're not just fighters, Captain. We're the nightmare that keeps monsters awake at night. The battle continued to rage, humanity's forbidden weapons tearing apart what the Federation had thought invincible. The sleeping giants had awakened, and they had awakened angry. 1 month after humanity's first counterattack, the Federation Council chamber was packed with representatives from every surviving species. The massive room buzzed with excitement and nervous energy as Dr. Walker and Admiral Stone stood before the council. On the main display behind them, footage showed the last swarm ship dissolving into nothingness, torn apart by humanity's phase weapons. In just 4 weeks, the ancient humans had accomplished what the Federation had thought impossible. They had destroyed the swarm. The threat has been eliminated, Stone reported formally. All remaining swarm ships have been destroyed. Their collective intelligence has been fragmented beyond recovery. The council chamber erupted in cheers. Species that had been bitter enemies for millennia embraced each other, united in their relief and joy. But the council leader, an ancient being of pure energy, raised a glowing tendril for silence. "We are grateful," the leader began, their words translated in all languages. "But we are also concerned. The weapons you created, the technology you used, they were banned for good reasons." Walker stepped forward. "With respect, leader, they were banned out of fear. Fear of power, fear of change, fear of what lesser beings might do with them. We are not lesser beings." Captain Reed, now promoted to admiral for his role in the crisis, stood from his council seat. "The humans didn't just save us from the swarm. They showed us what we could become." The chamber's display changed, showing recordings from the past month. Humans teaching Federation scientists new principles of physics. Human doctors healing injuries that had been thought fatal. Human engineers improving technologies that had been stagnant for millennia. "We slept for almost 1,000,000 years, Walker said, his voice carrying through the chamber. "Not because we were afraid, but because we were preparing. The swarm wasn't just an enemy. They were a test to see if humanity was ready to take its place among the stars." Stone gestured to the display, which now showed humans and Federation species working together, building new ships, new stations, new possibilities. "We don't want to rule the Federation. We want to help it grow." The council leader's glow pulsed thoughtfully. "And what of the forbidden technologies?" "Knowledge isn't forbidden," Walker replied. "It's either understood or it isn't. We understand these technologies. We can teach you to understand them too. Not to fear them, but to use them wisely." A murmur ran through the chamber as the council members discussed among themselves. Finally, the leader spoke again. "The Federation exists because we believe that different species could work together, learn from each other, become more than they were alone. Perhaps it is time we remembered that." The leader's glow brightened. "We offer humanity a seat on the council with full membership in the Federation. Will you accept?" Walker looked at Stone, then at the other humans present. They had discussed this moment, prepared for it. "We accept with one condition." "Name it," the leader said. "The age of forbidden knowledge ends now," Walker stated firmly. "No more banning technologies out of fear. No more holding back progress because it makes us uncomfortable. We go forward together, eyes open, ready to face whatever comes next." The chamber fell silent. The leader's glow flickered as they considered the proposal. Finally, they raised all their tendrils in the ancient gesture of agreement. "So be it," the leader declared. "Let it be recorded that on this day, humanity joined the Federation not as refugees from the past, but as teachers of the future." The chamber erupted in celebration again. Reed approached Walker and Stone, his antenna twitching with emotion. "Was this your plan all along?" he asked. "To change the entire galaxy?" Walker smiled. "Change is the only constant, Admiral. Humanity didn't survive by standing still. Neither will the Federation." Outside the council chamber's windows, construction crews were already at work, humans and aliens together, building something new. The sleeping giants had awakened, and they had awakened not to conquer, but to guide. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what humanity had planned for.